So today we talk about the Battle of Assaye. We spell Assaye as Assaye. So why are we talking about the Battle of Assaye? Well, first of all, let's first understand what Assaye is. Assaye is a small place in central India. More specifically, it is in Maharashtra. And we are talking about this battle because this battle, which was fought sometime in the first half of the 19th century, actually on 23rd of September 1803, was a decisive battle between the Marathas and the East India Company, right? And what followed after the Battle of Assaye was a consolidation of the British power in central India. And through this battle, the British not only consolidated their provinces in central India, but they also extended their dominions or kingdoms right up till Delhi. And finally, in 1857, they had controlled almost the entire country. And we all know what happened after 1857. But let's take a step back and understand the background behind the Battle of Assaye. A little bit about Battle of Assaye. This battle was fought between the Marathas, more specifically Scindia and the Raja of Berar on one side, and the East India Company led by Arthur Wellesley, the same guy who's also called as the Duke of Wellington on the other side, right? So now let's take a step back and go to the background of the Battle of Assaye. In 1771, the Marathas had stormed Delhi, and they had controlled and they had established a full control over the Mughals. Over the past 29 or 30 years, right up till 1802 or 1803, the Marathas controlled a large part of the territory from west to the eastern coast, as well as right up till Delhi. But what was the state of the East India Company at that time? At that time, East India Company had three important ports. One was Bombay, the other was Madras, and the third one was Calcutta. Now, all these three ports, though they were important, but they were separated by the Marathan territories. So, sometime in 1798, the East India Company decided to take matters in their own hands, and then they attacked Tipu Sultan of Mysore, and we know that Tipu was defeated. So that was one way of bringing Bombay as well as Mysore closer. But still the challenge still remained. Marathas still controlled a large part of the territory. In between, the East India Company had established friendly relations with the Nizam of Hyderabad. So going from Madras to Calcutta while Telangana was no matter a difficulty, because you had to go via Telangana, via Hyderabad kingdom. Now what happened sometime in the first part of the 19th century was that hostilities broke out among the Marathas. In 1802, Baji Rao and Daulat Rao Scindia on one side, they fought with Holkar on the other side. Ultimately, the Maratha Peshwa was defeated, and he went over to the East India Company and said that, look, I want to be protected, otherwise these Sardars or these generals, they will kill me. So the East India Company said, okay, we'll give you protection, but you'll have to sign a subsidiary alliance, which means that we will give you a garrison of 6,000 men, but at the same time, you'll give us the permission to interfere in your Maratha affairs. So that's how the East India Company finally got a toehold in the Maratha politics. So that forms the background of the Battle of Assaye. In the meantime, both the Scindia as well as the Holkar, they were trying to get into the Nizam of Hyderabad's territories, loot him. But the British were watching very, very cautiously at both these two parties. In 1803 September, there was a fierce battle between the Holkar and the British armies in Delhi, which is called as the Battle of Delhi. The Holkars, or the Marathas under the Holkars, had a very, very strong army, but despite that, the British under Lord Lake managed to defeat Holkar. So the control of Marathas over the Mughals went away from them, and finally Delhi was under the control of the East India Company. Now what remained was the territory south of Delhi. right up till the Maharashtra and the borders of Mysore. Now the Marathas were surrounded by the East India Company. Now what followed in 1803, 23rd September, was this battle. The Marathas under Scindia, they were planning to march on to Hyderabad, but this intelligence reached to Lord Mornington, who was the Governor General of East India Company at that time, and then he ordered his brother, Duke of Wellesley, Lord Wellesley, also known as Duke of Wellington, to take the right steps. After gathering intelligence from March until September, Wellesley thought that it is time to attack the Marathas under Scindia, and he chose September as the right month or the period to attack Scindia. That's the time when Maharashtra is lashed by rains and the rivers are in full flow. So he calculated correctly that the Marathas would be unable to manage their armies against the much more agile British army. Ultimately, he forced the Marathas to move forward towards Hyderabad, and at a point near the Ajanta Ghat in Maharashtra, where two rivers meet, the two armies met. Yeah. So on one side were the Marathas led by the Raja of Berar and Scindia, and on the other side it was the Duke of Wellesley. The Marathas had more than 50,000 force. This force contained infantry as well as cavalry. It also contained elements of Begum Samru's mercenary force, as well as it also contained Pindaris. The role of Pindaris was very clear. The role of Pindaris was to harass the British supply lines and to loot their guns, food, whatever they could. The English, on the other hand, they just had 5,000 forces. It is said that they had just 17 guns, whereas the Marathas had got 200 guns, and the infantry was very, very strong. But ultimately, like many other major battles that have happened in India, like say for example the Battle of Khanwa or the Battle of Third Battle of Panipat, here too an Indian army lost against the East India Company. There are two or three important reasons why the Marathas lost. One, several English officers who were serving in the Maratha army, they went over to the British because the East India Company said that all those British officers who were working with the Marathas, they were traitors if they did not side with His Majesty's army. The other thing was that the East India Company forces were they had a lot of resources. They were flush with funds from the victory over Mysore. The Nizam sided them, plus they had three important ports with them. On the other hand, the Marathas, though they had a superior army, they did not have much of resources. Many of their soldiers were killed, or many of their cannon and all those things were snatched or won by the British in the Battle of Delhi. So, and finally, on that crucial day on 23rd of September, the Marathas could not maneuver their otherwise agile cavalry in that very, very constricted battle area. Whereas the English, though they had a very small force, they could maneuver their cavalry as well as the infantry. Both the sides lost quite a large number of men, but the Britishers just lost, I think, 400 men, whereas the total casualties in the Maratha side was upwards of 6,000, which included 1,200 dead. In fact, the losses suffered by both the two parties were so huge, particularly the British suffered so much of losses that they thought that it was futile to pursue the retreating Marathan army. But what followed after this battle was that the Marathas under Scindia quickly began losing their possessions. They lost Aligarh, they lost Agra, obviously they lost their own kingdom in Maharashtra, and ultimately they lost Gawligarh, which was a very, very important fortress. So they lost several fortresses in Maharashtra, and ultimately Scindia had to sue for peace. In 1814, Scindia and the East India Company they signed a peace agreement where the Scindia promised that he would not interfere with what the Britishers did in India. That is why in 1857 the Scindia did not side with Rani Lakshmi Bai when she was fighting against the British. So that's a short history about the Battle of Assaye and what it meant for the for Indian history. There was never a stronger side than the Scindias in the first part of the 19th century, but after they lost this battle, there was nobody else to counter the Britishers. So I hope you liked this particular lesson. If you did, please subscribe to my channel, and there's a bell shaped icon. You can press it so that every time I make a new lesson, you can immediately get to know about it. I'll come to you with another interesting episode in our history. Till then, thank you very much.